All right. So today things gonna. Oh. Do- Hey, what's up, Joey? Good day to you too. Ah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Just gonna wait for like a few minutes because what I have. What's up? How's my day so far? My day so far so good. I'm gonna wait just a little bit for some people to come in because what I have today is gonna be a little different. A little different compared to things normally. So, um, yeah, I didn't like announce it or whatever, but I figure for those who show up, we'll just talk about it. But anyway, today I'm actually going to be discussing something that was posted in Reddit some time ago, like several weeks ago, 25 days ago, in fact. So there's an interview with both of the producers, Yasuda and Shibata. So the executive producer, like Yasuda-san, that we're all familiar with, and right, and then of course the lead producer as well. So they have had an interview. This is on Reddit. The links for them are in the description of this particular stream, so you can check that out at any time if you just want to read it on your own. But I figured today we could just talk about what the interview is about, um, and kind of just chat about Neo 3, speculate some more, maybe get inside of the developers' heads if possible for us to understand what we can expect to see in the future. So that's kind of what I wanted today's stream to be about. I of course have Neo 2 in the background to play. I wish I could play Neo 3, but that is unfortunately not a thing at this time. Gosh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah. So, right, the links are in the description once again. So, there is this, of course, a Reddit, a translation of everything, and it's fairly extensive with quite a lot of good questions and pretty good answers. So, in case some of you have concerns, it all gets covered. But if you want to have the raw interview untranslated for whatever reason, you want to translate it on your own, then I also have the link for that as well. So, yeah, it was quite informative. This is the latest thing that I have at this time. But yeah. So cool. But yeah, how are you guys? You guys doing well? I hope. Hope everyone's chilling, enjoying their time, enjoying their weekend. If it's Sunday for you, hopefully you get to enjoy a nice lazy Sunday. No, they haven't spoken about survey results. According to Reddit, and this is Reddit information, and here we go. Go to the Twitter. Feedback report is planned to be released in August, so that's when we'll get that information. I'm just curious while I'm waiting. Do they have anything? I always check their Twitter like every day to see if they have like new clips and whatever. So last one was June 30th about like crouching and sliding. One thing that was cool, where was it? I'll blow this up because I pay attention to this shit. I kinda have to. Where was it? There's one thing I got to see that they don't have that they didn't showcase in the demo. Oh yeah, here, I'll blow this up. So, if we pay close attention, Jeez, that is loud. Let me reduce the volume a little bit. Okay, so like for example, here we go. Here's a little like Twitter clip. And then I don't know if you noticed, and I guess the resolution just dipped on this, but there's like quite a big shockwave for Morning Moon. And I don't remember Morning Moon having such a shockwave at all. So that like, I'm like, it makes me curious about like the transformed arts. That's just Moonlit Snow Charge. That was already in the demo. And this is effectively Windmill with wind. Whoa! It's a real windmill! So just getting to see that like wind transformed art, I thought to be kind of cool. But it's interesting, each hit will circulate this the wind, the whirlwind effect, so to speak. So that was like kind of cool. And then I was trying to, and then there was other Twitter footage, don't know if people have seen it, but I'll play it here. So if you're like worried that, oh no, oh shit, there's gonna be like, it's just gonna be sword is now the samurai thing, but ninja style won't have that, and then both styles won't have necessarily like all sorts of weapons. Let me just show you what I was talking about when it comes to ninja style having sword play. So here you go. And then if you pay attention, here's the sword play. Right, feather. And then looks a little different. Oh no, Poofer has become a React YouTuber? Yes, yes I have. I very much have. I guess this is... I react to Team Ninja Nioh 3 news, or whatever. So, yeah. Other than that, in terms of new footage, like, you've got the windmill thing, you have the ninja style has a single sword. I haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary. Oh yeah, this was cool. They're gonna have like an Arabic, like, this is cool, Arabic version. I'm like, great! I'm all for that. That's wonderful. I'm gonna miss Anima and Scampus. Hey, maybe they'll have a thing where you get a bunch of Scampuses and they may not give Anima, but they give Guardian Spirit Force or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of what's on the Twitter. So I haven't noticed anything new. I check pretty much every day. But the alpha report will be released in August. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do. But in any case, today was more about the interview that the two had. So again, the links for this are in the description. You can check them out at any time. And I guess if you guys have some concerns about the game and want to see if they even talked about it here, I can try to find it out. But otherwise, I'm just going to try to like brainstorm shit. So as I kind of scan through this, I think the interesting thing is to know when it actually started. The Nioh 3 started and when they started development, because I didn't know. And so I just made some assumptions. So it's interesting to hear that past Nioh titles were all proposed basically from Ko Shibusawa at Koei Tecmo. But Nioh 3 was proposed from the development side, who expressed they wanted to make the game. They wanted to make it. I'm like, cool. And it was probably from 2023 that development officially began. You guys want me to, is this text too tiny for you guys? Would you like me to blow it up? Let me know. I feel like it's a little tiny. See, looks kind of tiny to me. You read this interview and you think it was bad? Felt like a useless introduction piece to the game. Didn't really have any of the questions a fan would actually want to know. I guess what's a question you wanted to know? Have answered. Because I thought it was fairly informative. So what did you think? What would you have wanted to have answered? Just more in-depth things about Nioh 3 and New Directions? I guess I could be missing something here, but isn't the whole like style shift, samurai ninja mode, the ability to jump, open map, aren't those quite new? Is this a new interview? No, this came out. I didn't talk about it. Like, it was 25 days ago. This is just in case someone didn't see this, because I don't expect like everybody to frequent Reddit. I figure some people will just ask me. No, it's not a new interview. It's over 3 weeks old. But yeah, like for me, they did, like new to you, right. That's the thing. So this is new, right? And that's why I'm talking about this autumn, is because I don't expect people to frequent Reddit, and I'm just like, dude, I'll just do it for you guys, and then we can just talk about it and whatnot. That's where it is. So yeah, let me know, Wizard, what you're thinking about in terms of new directions, because I would argue that style shift and things related to that would be it was like a big thing. But maybe your idea of what you mean is a little bit more specific that I just don't know about. And so while you're typing whatever you're typing, for me, I think a lot of time spent talking about how previous game worked, which is obvious to the fans, which would have been better spent getting more info about Nioh 3. Okay. So let's see. It makes me wonder. So okay, I think that's a good point, because it makes me wonder just how much information can they share? Should they share? Have they thought about sharing? Because these are like these are like the heads of it, and they're decided to kind of hold back a lot of that information. So what sort of I guess if you could be more specific about like the types of information about Nioh 3 you would like to know, then I can understand better where you're coming from. Because I see like, oh, they got samurai style, they got ninja style, they have deflect. So they have deflect, the parry mechanic, arts proficiency, whole new mechanic, right? And then the entirety of the ninja style, and then kind of like the vision that they want to have for it. Hey, what's up, Golden? It's good to see you. The fact that dev team wanted to make Nioh 3 is great. Means they have love and passion put into development. I know, I love that. I love that. I want that creativity. That creativity is great. I haven't like been disappointed with their creative ideas yet. So I just have this expectation it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. Let's go. They won me over from Nioh 1 to Nioh 2, even though I was already like bought into the whole Nioh series even way back then. I'm getting the vibes that I'm just not gonna like Nioh 3 as much as 2, and I guess it's just the way it is and it's not for me, but it's a bummer nonetheless. You know, some people are, I mean, that's fair. If the game's not for you, it's not for you. And no harm, no foul. Games aren't gonna be for everybody. Basically, all the doubts people had when they played the third demo, none of those questions were really asked. So you're talking about like weapons of all styles, right? For example, or own meal magic or things of that nature. Stuff like that, for example. I do hope the game is a lot different from the demo, though. I'm curious where it'll go. In what ways are you hoping it will be different, Satya? I'm curious. I also think, oh yeah, you read the interview hoping to get some answers to those questions, but no. Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. I think this interview, I think it's also important then to consider who this interview is really for. Right? I think it's important to understand who the interview is for. I think the reality is that, like, most people reading this interview, or most people who would try to understand this interview, aren't necessarily going to be as, like, diehard Nioh fans and obsessed down to the tiny details like we might be. Like, I'm going to want to be like, I'm the guy that went out of bounds. Here. I think this, I'm going to poke fun at myself a little bit here. All right. I'm the guy that is so, like, obsessed to the details for Nioh 3 that, like, sure, Reddit had some footage of, like, oh, here are the new weapons that, like, are in Out of Bounds. But I was like, you know what? I want to be able to explore the entirety of the Out of Bounds myself. I would have been like, I wanted to do it. I wanted to see it. I want to prove myself. I want to, like, micro-analyze every little nerdy detail. And obviously, and I see what you're saying. Hey, like, I wish they had, if I did the interview. Unfortunately, I don't speak their language, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. So yeah, I'd totally like to do that. I think when they're crafting this interview, they're thinking in a much more broad general scope, the big picture things that most will be worried about, as opposed to anything and everything. Would I have liked more discussion about certain weapons? Yeah, I think I generally would, but truth be told, I haven't read through this whole interview in, like, great depth, so. But you have, so you're already aware that I guess it doesn't have it. But yeah, I was fortunate, though, during the Nioh 2 time to be able to have a podcast with Team Ninja's community manager. So that was pretty fun. And that was when I was, as a content creator, much messier, both as a content creator, actually, and as a human being. So, you know, I appreciate the chance that Master gave to me. He was a great guy. He's still a great guy. But definitely, if, like, there's enough Nioh 3 traction, you know, I'll see if I can talk to him again and then have, like, a video for everybody. So that can be one thing I do, but I think this is just, I think the reason the interview is this way is just because they had the company are making certain decisions for how they want to market their stuff. Because we as a community, the vocal part of our community, are, like, really diehard fans, right? And the thing is, Team Ninja's community manager is a diehard fan. Dude's a world champion for Dead or Alive. All right? He's literally, like, me as to Nioh is him to Dead or Alive, but even more. He's world champ, and he made guides, okay? This guy's intense. So in terms of, like, there being some sort of internal, I guess, corporate pressure of some kind, if you want to call it that, it's there. So he does a great job with that. But yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Let me catch up with chat. Okay, so Shud is saying, I just don't want to use yokai abilities like a Pokemon. It is a big change, not gonna lie. Let me see. Where do they talk about it? Yeah. So in past titles, collecting yokai skills or grinding for soul cores with better stats was part of the fun. So this time we're learning onmyo skills through soul cores. So yeah, they've changed that. So I guess, yeah, they've changed it, and it's a bizarre change. Right, so going from Nioh 2, where we had all the yokai abilities, now we have them as summoning steals. It is no doubt a bit strange. So I feel that, and it is interesting to me. Like, I was like, hey, I wanted to use those yokai abilities too, but they've shown so much about that rather than anything really to do with the guardian spirit skills, like any of the things we use Spirit Force for. So I think that's a bit strange. I mean, that's just taking some time to understand, because we've only got to play around with 3. We have Shinroku's. You have that wind one that I forgot. And then you have Nekomata. I like those abilities. To me, they have the same feel as yokai abilities. But yeah, like it's just like you got 3 guardian spirit skills versus you see all these soul cores. And then when that's pretty much what I'm used to, like when it comes to soul cores versus guardian spirit skills or whatever, I can totally understand where it's just like, nah, I'm losing out on so much goodness from Nioh 2. So I think one thing we are just going to need to see for us to feel more comfortable with the changes is that we're going to need to see the new stuff that they're putting in for Nioh 3 really replace the old stuff from Nioh 2 and replace it really well. It needs, in other words, we need to feel the upgrade. We need to see the upgrade, we need to feel it, and then I think that concern of like, oh shit, no, the yokai ability stuff feels bad to lose out. We're using it like a Pokemon. I think that feeling will, over time, basically get addressed. That's my thinking anyway, so you let me know. Alright, catching up. So Satya, I guess just sanding down of the menus and systems upon systems bloat I had within the demo. I know. I do agree. I agree because... let's see if they talk about anything to do with tutorials here. I don't think so. No, that okay, so not in this interview. That I remember like when I was starting to get into the game, like the amount the demo, like I got overwhelmed because there were so many. There were countless explanations for new mechanics and just like tons and tons and tons of reading. Like I was just like I don't like at some point I was like I don't want to read all this shit. Like it's too much information. Even reading this whole interview is like I can read this whole interview, so to speak, but it's like that's all I want to focus on. But imagine reading this interview while playing the game and trying to learn on the fly. It's like it's a lot to take in, which is why having like some tutorials and some simplification of just how the information is being delivered to us would be very helpful. You know, just some like nice pacing as opposed to just like front loading every fucking thing in my face and then I'm just like overwhelmed. It just like it's bloated, I would agree, and it just gets really tiring. Now, what I did like in the demo was I actually legit like the tutorials. Sorry, let me clarify. They had like those, you know, those tutorials like in the dojo. Not the reading. I don't like the reading. But it's like, here's 500 pages of text. But I did like when it was like this little interactive tutorial like in the dojo where it's like, here's how you can practice stuff. And then it made it a lot easier. So I wish they kind of had that in from time to time. For me, I'm actually like, Doom Eternal I think did this. It was a little irritating at times, but I think with Doom Eternal, what they did is that like you'd get introduced to some new mechanic, and then they'd give you like a little mini demo tutorial to like understand the basics. So seeing that happen in the dojo for Nioh 3 was I actually liked, and as opposed to like trying to like reading a wall of text, seeing like a short video, and then like trying to figure it out on the fly, like when game's already pretty challenging as it is, and it's just like I just wished it was paced a little better. Okay, I know I got a lot to catch on, so I'll catch up on, so just give me a moment. Okay, I doubt they'll U-turn on the foundational samurai ninja split thing, but if they could shave off some of the this and this and this stuff, I'd appreciate it. I don't remember the details from your comments, so I might need a refresher. Grinding is not fun for me personally. I don't mind a bit of farming and grinding, but Nioh's all about it. I know. I freaking hated grinding. I hated grinding for all of this, arts of combat. I was just like, I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore. I don't want to do the loot grind. It's not fun. It takes my enjoyment away from the game. Like, it was just excessive. Alright, I'd rather grind freaking Diablo 3. And I don't like grinding in Diablo 3. So... yeah, like, I do not enjoy the loot grind. I do not enjoy having to sift through, like, 500 pages of text. And setting up every, like, loot filter. And, like... and it's not an enjoyable process. And for me, like... it takes away from what I do enjoy about the game. Which is one of the reasons why when you guys see me play, I play very minimalist. And there's like some things I will go for, but I like, in terms of perfecting things, fuck that. Like, I really hope that in Nioh 3, if they do have arts of combat to unlock, that at the very least, it is something that can be earned within a reasonable amount of time. Because fighting Ren Hayabusa, as much as I love the boss, having to fight him 100 times to get a skill drop is freaking irritating as shit. I don't want anyone to go through that. Make it like an achievement-based unlock. Like Rise of the Ronin. Rise of the Ronin was great. And then I was like, I wanted to do the dojo. So I was like, oh, I beat this boss. I get something. I get a good reward that I actually want. Now, when I'm in the dojo, I'm just in the dojo because I fundamentally enjoy the dojo every time. I can take that like irritating aspect of grind away from it altogether. You know, and I personally didn't like, the one thing I didn't like in Ronin that I was grinding, but it was totally self-imposed. So not developer fault at all. Not really anyway. Was me trying to grind the max points. Like 11,500 was like a goal, and some people hit that. Or something crazy like that. You know, I got my 11k in a couple of fights. And then I was like, yeah, going for this skill, this point grind and leaderboard and shit, like, it's not that fun for me, but fortunately it's not like a fundamental alteration of the game experience like combat style grind could be. And then, so then I stopped. And then what I did was I adapted my way of enjoying the dojo by starting to focus on more advanced things like double counter sparks. In other words, I got to derive my enjoyment from actually engaging with the game and getting better, which is what I wanted. Did Guardian Spirit skills feel satisfying to use? I would say so. I really liked Nekomata's, and I think they talk about it in here. Right? So what kind of Guardian Spirit skills can we use this time? So take Nekomata for example. It has a skill that allows you to perform a backflip while attacking with a lightning quick. Right? Samurai Guardian has a consecutive slash attack. So Nekomata does appear as White Tiger boss in Nioh 2. And they had a backflip attack. Yeah, he does. Nekomata has that backflip that like kills us all the time. So it seems that a lot of the Guardian Spirit skills will be familiar to fans of the series. So yeah. So pretty cool. I enjoyed Nekomata's quite a bit. And now I can make the connection that, oh yeah, Nekomata does do that, a similar attack in Nioh 2, like legit. And so is Shinroku as well. Like, I liked it. I didn't like Shinroku's as much. The 8-winded blade I think was really cool, just like a ton of hits. That was pretty fun. Yeah, I like Nekomata's a lot. Just like the quick jump back. I'm like, oh, this feels so good in ninja style. Yes, I loved that. So I enjoyed it. We're not necessarily of shiftling in Nioh 2, but I think the general principles of having like hybrid attacks and like different form of attacks is woven in to into Nioh 3. So like we're buddies with Guardian Spirit skills. Maybe like our parents was a Guardian Spirit. Who knows? Okay. And so then, yeah, like, I found that fun. I liked it. To me, it hit the same spots as Yokai abilities for the functionality anyway. It hit the same spot as it did for Nioh 2's Yokai abilities. I liked that a lot. Okay. In regards to Pokemon Nioh, we aren't humans anymore. True, we are not. Yeah, so that's, I think they say that's one of the specific reasons why here. What was going on? Right. So, what's the question? So in Nioh 1, William can see guardian spirits. Nioh 2, Hide is a half yokai. Protagonist is someone who has a very high affinity to guardian spirits. And then we don't really know what the protagonist really is yet. So they'll reveal that information. But it's, to me, it's basically like we're a hybrid, just principally we're a hybrid, just not Nioh 2 type hybrid, where it's half yokai, half human. So I'm okay with that, because to me it still feels somewhat similar. Reading about video games is a bit cringe in my opinion. Fair. Here's my maximum cope about yokai abilities in Nioh 3. We meet Hide and he teaches us how to transform into yokai so we don't have to use Soul Core Box anymore. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they'll do that, but let's keep the hopium alive. The grinding definitely depends on the player's OCD, and mine is through the roof, okay? Holding X to dismiss pop-ups was agony, though. I know. It gets irritating. I don't remember if there was a setting to, like, not have the tutorials pop up. I don't know. But I do wish the information that we were given was given to us in, like, a more palatable way. Okay. The Samurai Ninja thing actually makes sense. Forces players to essentially switch weapons. Oh, so they do talk about the Samurai Ninja style. I actually want to bring that up because that's one thing. Oh god, there are so many moments they talk about it. I remember, I'm trying to find the exact moment they said this in the interview, but they specifically don't want people to feel like they have to play in either style. Like, you have to stick to samurai for certain situations or ninja style for certain situations. You don't even have to switch at all if you don't want to. I forget where they say that. Okay, so there is a question. So it's like how, so about the style shift mechanic. So basically pros and cons to each. So the main selling point of the game is style shifting, and yet the team put the option in not to do so. So he directly states, we didn't want to make a game where you have to style shift to properly fight. The main focus of the Nioh series from a combat strategy standpoint is for players to focus on reacting to enemies in the short term, manage stamina in the midterm, and choosing between gear and stances in the long term. In the past Nioh titles, there were many different types of weapons, but we never want to design fights that can only be won with a certain weapon. So we took the same approach with Nioh 3. Although we provide many options the player can choose from, we never force certain options on them. Players can choose how they want to engage the game. I love that, by the way. We were excited even to see if the community would split into samurai mains and ninja mains after the demo's release. Right. So, Yeah. They don't want to keep us locked into like even having to switch. Samurai mains or ninja mains? I'm gonna go with both. I'm just gonna play both because I enjoy the interplay between both of them. But you bet there's gonna be some like absolutely busted samurai builds and samurai and ninja builds. Really cool combinations in between. And for me, I'm gonna look for a nice synergy of everything all together so that I'm incentivized to play with everything. That's what I was trying to do in the demo. So I think it was cool that I could switch things up, personally speaking. So they didn't necessarily talk about like the new weapons per se. I mean, that's the stuff that I found out of bounds. But I think they're trying to have certain specializations for samurai, certain specializations for ninja. And I'm sure that even if we have like a specific weapon for both styles, that they will feel different. I mean, shit. Look at Nioh 2's fists and compare it to Nioh 3 talons. While there's some overlap with skills like Beyond Infinity, for example, they feel pretty different. They feel pretty different, and I'm okay with that. I don't like... I'm hoping that Samurai style and Ninja style can each get 2 weapons. That would be great. Because I don't want to have to switch to a different style just to switch to a different weapon. That's my hope. But we will see what they do. I'll feel it'll suck if for me, in all honesty, if like I can't use 2 weapons per style, but I'll get over it. Okay. Hey, so Renee beat Tate Ebushi for the first time yesterday. I'm exhausted. Yeah, congrats. That's a very, very different and very intense fight. So really well done. Isn't our character supposed to be the same person as Nioh 2? Maybe it shows how he became a hybrid in Nioh 3. No, our character in Nioh 3 is different from our character in Nioh 2. New protagonist, not a shiftling whatsoever. Oh, sorry, I meant having to read too much when playing video games is annoying. That's a better way to say it. Oh, my bad. I thought you're tired about me. I'm like, oh, fair. Like, okay. Yeah. Like, I'm right there with you, Bran, about the whole, like, all right, I'm playing the game, and then big old pop-up. Here you go. Here's a 5-paragraph essay on how to use this new mechanic. I'm like, can I just play the fucking game, please? If there needs to be an actual tutorial where I learn a new mechanic, have my game flow so that I'm learning it when I need to. Like, I don't fucking... Like, that's why I'm okay with Doom Eternal. Like, it was a little irritating, but eventually, you can skip the shit. I'm right there with you. Sorry, I'm still catching up. Alright, I hope that both styles can use 2 weapons. Yep, me too. I hope so. I would love that. Oh my gosh. If they did 2 weapons per style, oh, that would be so fucking good, dude. That'd be so good. It would be an incredible amount of complexity, but I would love to learn that. I totally would. Really looking forward to the game, but I hope they don't make the game too approachable in sacrifice of Nioh's uniqueness and style. So, Splintered Reality, I'm curious, how would it become too approachable? What do you mean by that? Just let me know. And then a question was, what was your impression on Nioh 3's loot filter? I liked that more. I liked just... I don't really remember tinkering too much with the loot filter, Lewis. What I started to do was I just stopped picking up certain quality of things. But one thing I actually really liked was being able to, just like while I was leveling up, basically just equip the strongest possible gear at a specific agility. Like, great! Like, the game will calculate it. I don't have to, like, worry about this shit when I'm, like, really not interested in build stuff. And if I really want to go in a build route, I can, like, hand select it myself. So that was nice. I'm just like, great. Boost my numbers for me. I don't want to think about this shit. I don't want to sort through this shit. I appreciated that. I feel like players were just pick one style and stick to it. Players almost pick the path of least resistance complexity. I mean, maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't actually really, like, I'm just going to be straight up here. I don't give a shit if someone wants to play the game with just one style and stick to it. Play however they want. I just hope it doesn't come at a cost to me when it comes to me playing the game. And with my experience with Team Ninja, that is never really the case. It's just not. But if the mainstream wants to be like, oh my god, Samurai's the best thing ever, or oh my gosh, Ninja's the best thing ever, I'm like, yeah, good for you. But as long, like, go ahead, have your opinion, whatever. The mainstream wants to play the game their way, go ahead. Go enjoy it. But that's not going to dictate how I'm going to enjoy it. And so I just hope that my ability to enjoy the game that I would like does not come into any way, shape, or form in conflict in the actual game with how other people want to play. Like in Nioh 2, I'm happy people can go full power builds. Great. Go ahead. I'm not really required to do that until like the depths. And that's when, you know, like I start to get irritated. I'm just like, oh, can't believe I have to build, man. My skill won't really matter at this point. I just need to like not get one shot. And then it got irritating. And that's why you'll see when I do play Nioh 2, even today, like I just do depths 1 through 5 because it's like an appropriate balance and like I can just creatively explore all sorts of things. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, like Gwyn is saying, I'm so gonna be a main of both. So either grinding and loot is like half the Nioh experience. Getting rid of it would change the identity of the series too much. How much grind? Like, I'm okay. Let me clarify one thing. I'm okay with like some grinding. I just do not want the absolutely fucking excessive grind that existed in Nioh 2 when it came to like it's one thing for loot when you're trying to get like 3-4 start stats. I'm like, okay, well you're going for like perfect items, so be it. I am especially salty, especially tilted over like grinding arts of combat. I'm like, no, I do not want this to be a thing at all. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I have to, in order for me to get true and through, I need to fight Azai Nagamas like 50 times. I'm like, no. Like, I can, like, it just got boring as shit. Whereas, say, a loot grind, I'm like, well, like, if I'm grinding for, like, perfect loot, then, like, I wouldn't expect it to happen really quickly. That would cheapen that loot experience grinding aspect of it. Which, you know, is like, I mean, when loot grinding is in many sense like kind of gambling. And it's really fun when you get the right piece of loot, and then they've made it easier to get better pieces of loot with things like Lucky Drop. But for skills, for pure gameplay mechanic things, as opposed to build stuff, nah, man. That gameplay shit, I want it to be earned like it was in Rise of the Ronin. So when it comes to ninja style, so they do talk about that in the interview too. Right, ninja style is new. I actually really like how they integrated the ninjutsu significantly. So yeah, like, there's a lot that can be flushed out with this. We have yet to see where it'll fully go. But very evasive, very fast in general. A lot of aerial gameplay. It's new. It's the new kid on the block, so to speak. So yeah, I'm not really used to managing the stamina, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I think once it gets more fleshed out in the same realm in which things like the physical arts were introduced, I think the more of that we see, the more of its identity we can see, I think the more we'll enjoy it. Because I'll tell you, when I started playing around with like Cicada Shell, you know, I think most people hadn't seen that for some time, where it's like, whoa, you can teleport behind guys? Like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Or I can like burrow, or you can jump real quick. And people would ask me questions like, what's the purpose of this? What does it do? And then once people would start to see how it works, it'd be like, oh damn, like you can really, really like you can be an aggressive in such a cool different way, and like the playstyle is so different. And then it naturally just got people more curious about how to play with it more. People like Cicada Shell, just literally, it doesn't matter where an enemy is, they shoot you, you teleport behind them. And it's like, it was cool. It like just changed things up. And so I really enjoyed that. So I hope to see more of that evolution of ninja style over time. I'm right there with you, Wizard. I don't think anyone here wants Nioh 3 to be easy. I don't. No way. If Nioh 3 became easy, I'd be like, bruh, come on. But that sacrifices my personal enjoyment. I enjoy the challenge quite a bit. I'm right there with you, Sethia. I would like the game to ease me into it so I'm not overwhelmed, but I don't want it to be like a super easy experience. I want it to feel like there's some sort of payoff for me, like learning shit. The challenge is the point. And I want the challenge to be a good, reasonable, appropriate challenge. Hopefully Dual Swords gets a lot more new skills for Samurai Style, if it will be playable by Samurai Style. Oh, you are in luck, Urshan. When I discovered Samurai Dual Swords out of bounds, there were if I'm not mistaken, 3 new skills. One was called Deflecting Cut. And here's what it does. On deflect, you automatically attack. What? So I'm just imagining with Samurai Style, you do a deflect, you slice just instantly. I'm like, what the shit? And then you can also go to attack chains right after, just naturally. The deflect with the free attack, which can be comboed into other things. Like, what the hell? And that was like one of the skills. And then they had Earthbreaker, if I'm not mistaken, which was a aerial attack, which apparently does a shit ton of key damage. And I forget the last one. I think it was like some dragon ability, but not to be confused with Dual Dragon. I don't remember. So we just have yet to see. Alright. Yo, Poofer, if you hop on Nioh 2 today, could you do funky weapons versus bosses, like hatchets and spear versus Ren Hayabusa, or Switchblade Odachi versus Tate Yabushi? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be playing Nioh 2. I have it, in case you guys don't know. I have Nioh 2 running, so it's just kind of there. It's chilling. I'm just in the dojo while I'm just chatting about this shit. So yes, that'll be happening. I'm just talking about, like, all this stuff with Nioh 3 first. If they limit the sheer massive amount of loot, it'll be less annoying. I know. That's one of the reasons I put the loot filter. Okay. There's a place for games with low skill floors that are welcoming to casual players, but there's also space for games that don't do that. Nioh is definitely an intimidating series for new players. Yes. And I think this interview is trying to address that. Think about it. I started playing Nioh 3, the Nioh 3 demo. I've played Nioh 1 and Nioh 2 for too long. And I get overwhelmed by Nioh 3, like at the beginning. Woo. If you're a new player playing this for the first time, I cannot begin to imagine how overwhelming shit's gonna be. And how frustrating it's gonna be because things don't make sense. And not only that, it's difficult for things to make sense. So yeah, that's a big challenge. And I really would like Team Ninja to make that intro experience a lot smoother. Right. That's what I hope for, honestly. Like, I want the game to be easier for people to get into. I'm not talking about like making the game, cheapening the game. I meant for those who are, say, don't have the most skill and want to learn Nioh 3, that they can do so without feeling like it's a fucking chore. Where it can be fun to learn all these new things and to test things out. You know, practice little mini tutorials here and there. You know, so for example, like, they could pick like one enemy. Alright? take one enemy, for example. So they could take an enemy and then like get you kind of comfortable with just like this basic enemy. Like it doesn't have to be like a boss. It could be like a basic enemy, right? Like a big skeleton warrior. All right, and then they could say, hey, like practice, and kind of like they did in Rise of the Ronin, where it's like make sure you are able to do this skill against this specific like attack, and then people can start associating. Oh, when enemy does this type of behavior, I use this tool. And then they can learn it a little easier. That's one thing I did like in the Nioh 3 tutorial, actually quite a bit. It was very simple, and I wish for more things like that. Rather than, hey, I know you're playing the game, but here's a wall of text. During like an intense fight. It's just really jarring that way. In the trailer, Takeda Shingen has a gun by a fan. Do you think it might be a new weapon? You know, to be honest, I didn't even notice. I hope it's a new weapon. I hope it is. I hope we get new weapons we have never seen in Nioh 2. And that they feel amazing. I hope so. Most endgame players are running ultimate courage and barriers so they don't have to keep pulse and choosing Enema Cane to span high damage soul cores. Yeah, and that's their right. They're more than welcome to do that. I just won't. And as long as I'm not required to do that, great. A book can be written with simple English but be about complex things. Approachable but not easy. I think Satya has a great point. I've been an instructor, a teacher, a coach, and all of that, and it is our responsibility to make sure that the information we give to people is palatable. Absolutely. I mean, shit. I'm gonna poke fun at myself. Many of you did like my Nioh 2 Academy, but I got an intense amount of feedback about how, like, a lot of the early things were too complicated because it was a combination of a let's play while teaching people things on the fly. So then I changed my video style to be more in line with what you see with soul cores, which is just, here's how to use the soul core. That's it. And then let me just show you some stuff. And that's it. Same thing with my weapon guides. My weapon guides, all things considered, were kind of messy. There wasn't like that clear structure. It wasn't like a clear progression. Like if I was just frankly a better instructor, a better teacher, like I would have made them a lot more in the style of my soul core guides. But like, here's how to use this specific move. Here's one way I can think of it. Can you think of more? Right? But otherwise, like with Nioh, it's just kind of like a mess. So I do think that with the complex stuff, there is a great importance on making it as approachable as possible. And I think once things are approachable and people can feel like, oh, I have a pathway to mastering a skill. And if they see that they have the pathway and they can reasonably achieve it with just some effort, I'm sure they'll put it in. And if they don't want to, well, guess what? They'll know it's their fault. They'll be like, well, I just didn't put in the time to learn it. Like, okay, well, then at least it's your responsibility. And it's a little different. I so hope for more fun ways to play with a friend. Co-op throughout, of course, but maybe also you could have crucible races against your friend. Ah, yeah. Yeah, that could be fun. I unfortunately don't think Team Ninja will do that, but I definitely love the idea of, like, you know, being able to challenge your buddies. Hey, let's see. Or maybe it's like you and your buddy have, like, set equipment, and then it's like, or predefined equipment, and then, like, complete a challenge. Kind of like in Diablo 3, they had those, I forget, those challenge dungeons or something like that. Where it's like, here, see, like, here's try the leaderboard for the week or something. So something in the same spirit as that, I think would be pretty cool. Grinding hidden skills in Nioh 2 is the worst mechanic I've ever seen in any game I've played in my life. I know, I fucking hate it. I do not want that at all. Rise of the Ronin really satisfied me in that endeavor. Did you have to go to therapy after grinding hidden skills? Here, I'm gonna make a joke at my own expense. Bruh, it fucked my head up so much that I got divorced. It ruined my relationship. It ruined my marriage. You got that, Team Ninja? It's not my fault for being a shitty husband, and that's why I got divorced. No, it was because of I had to grind hidden skills. Why, Team Ninja? Why? Alright, I don't mind the loot grind because getting decent rolls and the graces you want isn't too bad, and you don't need the absolute perfect rolls anyway. Right. I'm right there with you. Yasuda is apparently a huge Path of Exile fan. I understand why he made loot such an important part of Nioh. Yeah, I heard about that too. Make it easier to temper the stats or graces you want on gear, especially with ethereal gear. Maybe make it require rare materials or something. Yeah, just anything that can help. I think I understand the appeal of like loot grind to basically be like kind of the like it's super satisfying to get that rare piece of gear. Like there is some sense of reward in it not being controllable, but there are some aspects of the loot grind that are like beyond frustrating. And so I hope those frustrating parts get adjusted so that the overall gameplay experience can just feel more rewarding overall. I wouldn't mind a complete rework of ninjutsu and onmyo, to be honest, just not at the expense of depth in other areas. I'm in the same boat. E.g. preventing the player from doing stuff like item canceling, ninjutsu, Nishid skills, etc. To be honest, I don't think they're going to get rid of item cancel. I think, one, mechanically, it's going to really alter what they have to do game-wise. And second, the power boost that players can get from it is not so busted that they're even worried. I thought they would have nerfed it in Nioh 2. Part of me actually kind of wanted it to because of really, really stupid ego reasons at the time. But no, item cancels are cool. I don't see any reason at this time for them to get rid of it, so I don't think they will. If anything, like they're giving players more batshit crazy things. Like the whole arts proficiency mode is like ridiculous. It's like even more busted than item cancels ever were, to me anyway, in Nioh 2. Like the whole double jutsu cancel yokai ability, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But have you chained Moonlit Snows back to back to back with like effectively infinite ki on samurai difficulty? Like, what the hell? I'd do like Moonlit Snow charge into Frost, like Frost Moon. Frost Moon is crazy. Free attack on Keeples, fucking free. And then you can chain things in arts proficiency. I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Moonlit Snow, Frost Moon. Moonlit Snow, Frost Moon. It's just like, all right, bro, you're never running out of ki again. This is supposed to be a burst mode, a burst damage type mode, not supposed to be like, oh my gosh, this is your time to have infinitely more power and unlimited ki. But hey, Team Ninja things, right? Yo, okay, personal request. I have to catch up with chat. And this doesn't go to most of you. I'm not gonna name anybody because, like, honestly, I just don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Remember, we're all here because we want the best Nioh 3 experience. Alright? Fundamentally, that's all we want. All of us want that. Regardless of whether we agree with each other on how that is done, we all are like, yeah, we want the best Nioh 3 possible. And some people have different preferences. All I ask is that as we are in our pursuit of talking about the ways we can create the best Nioh 3, be respectful to one another. That's it. Because the ideas that we have, for example, I have certain ideas which other people aren't going to agree with, which is fine. But I know that their intent is still to pursue what they think is the best Nioh 3 experience. So rather than me trying to assert my opinion as being correct all the time, I want to, and this is just what I do, up to you to decide if you want to do it. Regardless of how I feel about something, I want to understand the other person's perspective. And life lesson, when I come to a conversation seeking to understand someone else's opinion, rather than me trying to get them to understand me, makes for better times. That's actually a major fuck up of mine when I was married to Cass. She'd always try to tell me her perspective, and I'd basically, and this is just straight up what it was, but I'd be like, no, Cass, you're wrong. I'd be dismissive of her. And then I'd be like, here's why I'm right and you're wrong. So, surprise, surprise, what'd she end up doing? It's like, okay, I'm just not gonna fucking talk to support. And then I'd be like, well, why isn't she talking to me? Why doesn't she like me? And then she'd tell me her perspective. Then I say, no, but that's not right. Here's why I'm right. Oh, way to go. Way to fucking go. So now I've learned that it's just like the most counterproductive shit as first. It's not that my opinion is invalid or anything. It's neither is hers. Neither is the other party. So I want to understand their perspective and then have a discussion about it to figure out something together that would be better. So that's what's worked for me. Up to you guys to decide if that's what you want. And again, this doesn't apply to most of you. Those of you who might be feeling a little heated at this time, I would encourage you to think about that. That's all I'll say about that. I'm not a Nioh 3 doomer, and I think it'll be good no matter what, but there's stuff I'm skeptical about. Me too. Me too, in all honesty. That's why I can't wait to see stuff from the beta. And that's not going to be for many months. I'm hoping to get more information. All I have for the time being is this interview where I can kind of see some of the things that they are talking about, but not really much in depth. But yeah, again, the links to all this information is in the description. So you can check it out on your own time if I'm going through this too slowly, or you'd rather just read about it in your own time. Cicada Shell feels like the teleport from Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. I adore it. Me too. Me too. How do you make things accessible? Probably by dumbing it down. The explanations. The tutorials. I mean, to me, in my view, I just think just better tutorials, to be honest. I liked the 2 tutorials they had in the dojo. I did. I was like, this was helpful. I would never want Team Ninja's quality to suffer. And when it makes it more accessible, just like, teach me. That's really it. I made the guides that I did on my channel because I didn't find that the guides in Nioh 2 were remotely effective. I felt there was a strong need for it. Right? Like, in Nioh 2, they show you the animation of a soul core. Or they tell you, hey, this active skill does this move. But like, in terms of me actually fucking understanding what the hell it does, like, the community had to figure it out. Like Ancient Neo Tengu. It's like, okay, you use the skill. Alright? But like, it's not very clear what it fucking does. And then people will try to understand damage. And they'll be like, well, the damage of this ain't that great. Let me go to something that's very obvious in terms of the damage. But as soon as they showcase, like, holy shit, it's actually fucking amazing against humans who block. And it works beautifully against Saito Toshimitsu. All of a sudden, people not only have developed a greater understanding, but then can start to work with it and practice it, and can learn how to master it. But without understanding how something works, and without being taught how something works, the game's not, in my view, not going to be accessible. That's for me what I mean by accessible. I wouldn't want like them to make Ancient Neo Tengu necessarily easier to use. Or Saito Toshimitsu, for example, would get dumbed down. Okay, well, maybe he's not the best example. I hate the guy. But I would want the accessibility to come from me being able to understand what I'm in for. And I suspect there are quite a few people who, if they get demotivated, and if they aren't necessarily going to like work, so to speak, or apply themselves to the game, it's because they don't understand how to learn the skill that will help them master the game. I think a lot of us have skewed views on difficulty, though. The demo might seem too easy, but so would Samurai, Nioh 1 and 2. Yeah, Samurai difficulty was always straightforward. Like, yeah. Like, Nioh 3's Samurai difficulty, I was like, damn, this is like pretty intense even for me. I'm like, I love this. So, you know, I thought it was challenging, but it was a fun challenge. Like, number one thing, I just want to have fun. For me, a good challenge is a part of that. Otherwise, like, if there's nothing really to learn, nothing new, then like, I'm not gonna play it. Not really not with the same level of enjoyment. I wonder if Samurai Style will have Tonfa. Me too. I don't know if that's the case. We'll have to see what they section out when it comes to weapons. When this interview, they didn't really talk too much about that. They just have like samurais can use katana, spears, and odachis, etc. And then ninjas can use these other 3 weapon types. So it's not very clear. They like really don't talk about it. Like, not much. So Wizard was kind of saying, hey, like, some of these pressing questions they didn't answer. That's one of them. There's nothing said to address any sort of fear related to, oh gosh, weapons are going to be locked and stuff like that. What people keep doing is conflating difficult gameplay with hostile or obtrusive onboarding. I'm right there with you, Satya. I want the learning process to be more straightforward. I am actually, so Autumn, like, I understand your perspective. Like, I don't want I think I understand it, which is basically, but let me put it this way, Autumn, and this is just my, like, I understand, like, not wanting Nioh 3 to be cheapened. I do not, let me make this very clear. I do not want Nioh 3 to be an easy game. That's not why I play Nioh. I enjoy the difficulty. I enjoy the meaningful challenge. That's what I love about it. All right? And I would not want that to be sacrificed at all. I loved getting my ass handed to me by Blood Edge Demon. I loved being able to learn how to conquer that. All right? If I, like, me getting frustrated and was an impetus to being like, hey, I'm not good with these skills yet. I need to master these skills. I want to learn these skills so I can really conquer these fights with complete sense of satisfaction. That was an addictive sensation. It would keep me coming back so I could like master a fight and then get creative. And that was so fun. I loved that. Loved that in Nioh 1, loved that in Nioh 2. At the same time, I see Satya's perspective because, let me just put it this way. If Nioh 2 was accessible, I wouldn't have really need to make any guides. But I did. So, yeah. Whereas in Rise of the Ronin, I don't really feel the strong need to make guides. I feel like people can figure it out reasonably. Now, there are some things that I think I could make a video about, but I'm like, yeah, it's not really as pressing of a need, to be honest. Stuff like that. That's just my personal opinion. I want to keep learning new things on the game even at 1,000 hours. Yeah, me too, man. I definitely do too. That's why I definitely do too. But I think what we're talking about here, and I think where Satya is coming from, Autumn, is basically base game mechanics. Base things early, like early on. Early on. I'm not, like, after the first 1,000 hours, whatever, I'm not expecting, like, anyone to have tutorials. That's just shit for people to figure out. And if people didn't get turned off by that at that point, I'm just like, okay, this is, like, I'm not going to put that on the developers. But when it comes to things like, hey, how do I use burst break or style shift or, like, just the base, like, understanding the basics of how to play, I want that to be fairly straightforward. All right, or like understanding what certain skills do or how they work or what they could be somewhat useful for. Like, it doesn't even have to be like in depth, but like even having little things being told like this is really good for key damage, or this is good for key damage when enemies are guarding. Ronin did that pretty effectively. So I was very happy with that. I liked those tutorials. I was like, okay, cool. This is why I can use this thing. And then I'd find some like really cool niche thing that isn't mentioned. I'd be like, oh, this is really awesome. I love that. Ooh, this is really cool. When it came to, for example, Rise of the Ronin, I actually like, it was nice for me to say, oh, Team Ninja actually already mentioned this thing that I discovered. I just didn't fucking read it or look at the video. Damn it. It was right there the whole time. I'm like, yeah, they did their job. I didn't do mine. And then I would then just change how I would approach certain things. It became less of an issue. Oh, it's the developer's fault. It's like, well, it seems like it's more mine. I'm okay with that. I'm like, I can change that. I also hope that they allow us to equip multiple guardian spirits if they're completely taking over yokai abilities. I think that would be nice. Strangely enough, Gorshan, for me, I'm not necessarily too big on having like 4 guardian spirits. Oh, you're talking about guardian spirit skills. My bad. I think we will be able to use at least 2 guardian spirit skills per guardian spirit. That much I can say based on demo footage. Yeah. Like, I really hope so too. How we can use 3 at a time, just like we could in Nioh 2. That is my personal expectation, that we can use up to 6 different guardian spirit skills at all times. That's my hope. So I'm right there with you. I get to know everything too soon and or easily will get boring quickly. Difficulty alone is not fun. Okay. Well, I mean, right. Like, again, I don't think that the discussion, that what you're worried about is mutually exclusive with what others are talking about. If anything, for me, and I'll just speak from my experience, when I started to learn how to use the tools, and then I would start to try to use those tools, the game started getting even more complex. Because I wanted to pull everything off. Like, it's a difference from, like, understanding, okay, this is... It's like going from mid-stance sword gameplay. The first time, and that's it. And just spamming Flowing Shadow, and that's what I did in Nioh 1, by the way, is just I spammed one skill to death. And I was like, okay, now I know how to apply this to everything else. But when I started to try to juggle 3 different stances, a bunch of different moves, a bunch of different weapons and their moves, and then in Nioh 2, all the soul cores, and learning how to use them with the yokai shows, regardless of how much I understand about how to individually use those, being able to learn how to use all of them together is complicated as fuck. And it is one of the reasons why I could stick to Nioh 2 for so long. Because even if I could understand one thing, it was a whole different beast to understand how to use multiple things at once. And there is no tutorial I can think of that really can explain how to use all of those. Even my guides will help, but it's one of those things that even the perfect conceptual understanding will not mean shit. I had to like muscle memory and start learning things on the like. It was complicated. It's one like another analogy for it is like, take therapy for example. You can read all the books you want on therapy. You can understand all the theories on psychology. And this is also a self-dig. But it doesn't necessarily mean you'll know how to actually apply it. And apply it well. Okay? At least I didn't. There's a lot of experiential mastery required. And that's something that's just only experience can teach. I mean, Team Ninja, honestly, I think is fine with making the game pretty straightforward to people. Like, they put in Sloth in Nioh 2. They put in Onmyo, they put in Sloth on hit for Onmyo magic. for Endgame, alright? Like, they're gonna do that. They're gonna put stuff in like that. But I never needed to use it. That existing in the game had no bearing on my personal enjoyment. I was like, oh, it sucks. Well, do I need to use it? No, so I won't. And I stopped. There's so much, like... I'm fine with players cheapening the game however they want. Just as long as it doesn't touch my experience, which Nioh 1 and Nioh 2, it never did. Except the depths, but depths, that's endgame, and I can honestly let that slide. I may complain about the depths, but guess what? I don't have to fucking do it. I already did it once. It's not like a base game enjoyment requirement. It's just like, hey, you want to push your build to the absolute limits? Then here's what you can do. Stone of Penance +9, and then do the depths, 26 to 30, and don't use a companion. Or don't get hit. It's like putting a no damage, like, run, and then it's like, well, like, it's cool to achieve it, but it's not like a base requirement. It's up to the player to decide if they want to engage with that. I'm like, okay, well, I don't, but I can still enjoy the game, which is great. I think the biggest need in your weapon lessons are the basics, the movesets, basic movesets of different stances, then going to the skills in a more systematic way. You're right. My weapon-based guys are pretty sloppy. I really want them to up the amount of ki and ki recovery speed by 30% to allow beginner players to be more aggressive without being punished. That would be nice. I think they're probably not going to do that, all things considered, because they didn't do that in Nioh 2, despite me asking for it. Well, back in Nioh 2, I didn't want to use yokai abilities, and they just put... They didn't change that. They didn't upgrade the Flux key amount. It was basically a way to force players to start using yokai abilities. So, I hope that there is good seamless integration so it becomes obvious that the gameplay loop should, if you want to perform more aggressively and more, that you got to use more. So a higher level of mastery. I'm personally okay with that. Because, like, when I'm low on ki, like, here's what I figured out in the demo. If I can, the whole, like, arts proficiency with Moonlit Snow, just started spamming it, and I'm like, okay. So I would do Moonlit Snow, charge, 0 ki on activation, and then I could Flux 2 into a Frost Moon. So then I keep the arts gauge going, or proficiency going. I get extra ki, and then I sequence into another skill, and then Flux 2, and like, it's just like crazy key management while I'm doing a shit ton of damage. It's just silly stupid. I still come back to your weapon guides from time to time, and I feel like they're more geared towards someone who's already reasonably familiar with the weapon but want to extract its full potential. Right. Right. I agree. Like I said, mine are not they were more adept guides. They were not like beginner friendly. Hey chat, man, I have so much to catch up on. I apologize for the delay. The Splintered Reality, what weapons do we want to see? So they aren't mentioning anything here. It's hard for me to think of weapons, to be honest. I would like to see some equivalent of like flails or nunchucks. I'll put it a different way. Everything that's in Ninja Gaiden 2, please put it in please put it in Nioh 3. And now we're seeing stuff from Ninja Gaiden 4. It makes me excited. I'm like, just put it in Nioh 3, bro. All of that. What's the drop rate of the skills? For Arts of Combat is just pitifully low. I'll put it this way. I hacked the game. I used cheat trainer, I think it's what it's called. And I maxed the item drop rate so that I could basically guarantee getting some skills. Even with me hacking the game so that I could try to get drops at the fastest rate, I still have to take out Aquaman 5 times to get a skill. I'm like, what the fuck? Even with max item drop rate, where everything he drops is basically ethereal, it still took me 5 times to get it. I'm like, unfucking believable. It's just no, they're just not fun. I will hate the developers forever because I still haven't gotten reverse impact or severing spin. Yeah, 4 years later, Gushan still hasn't gotten the skills. Did we get any new news for upcoming beta tests? Not at this time. I speculate and more information about that will come out sometime in the fall. I think the beta will come out in November. Dog, one of the first things I saw in the announcement trailer was midair water feathers were going to be fine. I know. I'm still wondering about how to make ninja style be worth switching to besides ninjutsu. They have to make both styles have reasons to be used. I agree. I completely agree with that. That's why I think, as we're saying, when it comes to ninja style, like, we're just going to have to see. Here, I don't think we're really tuning into this interview. I'll just switch back. Right. So we are just going to have to see how much ninja style gets flushed out, and we just don't have enough information. I do like the ninjutsu, but I think as many of us are concerned, it's like, what about the moveset? Moveset of ninja style compared to samurai style seems like very tiny. Very, very tiny. Like really, really tiny. Right. So, for example, now I can actually like boot up a little bit of Nioh too. All right. Okay, great. So, for example, we have the talons in Nioh 2, or Nioh 3, but then if I compare that to the fists, like, there's already so much depth. So naturally, I want to see more weapon play depth with ninja style. I think we're all on board for that, but we'll just have to see. Ninja style has no key pulse. Only way to get key back without backing up is to evade. Right, you can do a lot of mid-air dodges as well. Okay, I'm so behind. I think it would be cool if instead of only having 3 ninjutsu, we could have 6. Yes. Yes, I would love that. more options, please. Okay. The way it's looking, ninja style probably won't have stances. I think having ninja style jump off enemies to continue airborne combos and evading while they were, yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed. I don't mind if ninja style doesn't have stances, provided that there's a similar level of complexity with it as there is with samurai style. I'm okay with that. Like, if ninja style is even similar to Ninja Gaiden, I'm like, I'm good. And so stuff like, for example, we have combo enders, right? Which is great. And they, at the end of the combo, so for example, with sword, right? Regardless of how many high stance attacks I do, if I press triangle, I will always do Morning Moon. But what if it was something like, if I want a Morning Moon, I press certain buttons, and if I want Swallow's Wing, I have a little bit of a modification. Right? Right? So you can have Swallow's Wing, you can have Heaven Flash, you could have Kick. Right? If they did something like that, I wouldn't even mind all that much, all things considered. But I definitely want to feel like if I'm playing samurai style or ninja style, they're both still feel fully robust when it comes to a moveset. I would love that. Okay. All right. Those of you who have joined into the stream, welcome, of course. So I kind of liked how the game doesn't tell you that's how martial arts teaching worked in ancient Japan. The school people were supposed to learn by watching and paying attention. I guess the thing is that something for a video game? Is that something that should be put on the player? Or is that something they can choose? For me, if I want to have that immersive experience, let me choose it. But I don't want to enforce that on anybody else. Play how they want. Like, that's fine. For me, it's a video game. Like, I just want my experience to be different, like, just not be impacted by others. And if, you know, figuring stuff on the fly is fun. Like, I enjoyed that. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do in this game is based on that. But, like, I'm not gonna require someone else to do that, period. Like, play how you want. It's cool. Besides, there's so much advanced, and I'm totally gonna humble brag here. There is so much advanced shit that I'm still learning that people cannot replicate easily, that it's never really gonna be an issue. It's never gonna be an issue in terms of how much more that people can learn. Alright, shit like, oh, I figured this out on Ren Hayabusa, and like, I've learned it only after this amount of time, and no one else has. Like, good luck. The true endgame of Nioh is farming, not for gear, but for clips. Touché. Right? But like, in the beginning, for me, it would have driven me fucking insane to be like, hey, like, how do I play this game? I don't understand. Like, being in that state in the intro is just aggravating. Maybe the dojo should include mini games where you can train your new learned skills. As we're saying, keep the game hard, but get you the tools to learn and become better. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, that's fine. See, Autumn? We are... Oh, that wasn't Autumn. That was Lucky. You didn't find basic stuff hard to grasp in Nioh, not even the first game. You may not have, which is great. Many other people will. And many people who might be curious about this game will most likely be deterred from even trying it when it's just like, hey, the upfront cost of me learning the basics of how to engage with the game is really high and too high. Like, the game in the interview here, let me actually bring that back out. All right, so in the interview, let's see where they talk about it, right? So here's one thing that they say in the interview. What makes Nioh series so special? So for Shibata, I think it's when I make a mistake, it's not the game's fault. We wanted to make sure in different situations, players won't feel like it's clearly not my problem, but the game put me in the corner. So we worked very hard on the map design, the control feel, and sensitivity. I think, and I'm of the opinion, the way that we are taught the game early on, with the tutorials, it is not sufficiently done in a way that we can definitively say, it's my fault. People say, hey, the game's really fucking confusing. And we just want to learn it better, but I have like no clue how, I don't understand what's happening, and I'm overwhelmed. There's so much going on in the moment, like I don't even know what to do, except like, okay, let me back away from an enemy and get my hit every once in a while. But this is too slow. Oh, what does YouTube say? Here's some combat tips, but oh, here's a build? Okay, cool. I don't have to engage with this frustration and piece it all together to master my skills as a player, and I can circumnavigate that. I think that's one of the reasons why people go for build stuff, because when they want to learn the skills, it's not there's no real pathway to getting it. So it just kind of feels a little unattainable. And then for people, and then some people who then will basically say like, just get good. It's like that isn't practically helpful. And then my guides came in, and I could have done a better job. But my guides came in to try to actually teach people how to play and be like, hey, here's what's possible. Here's how to learn it. Here's how you can do this yourself. And a lot of people watch my guides. That's why people still watch my channel. Why, even though I am still talking about a fucking demo and video game news for Nioh 3. And I have this Reddit page up, and people still listen to me. Because it was helpful. It's important to make things understandable so people can want to pursue learning more on their own terms, but there's a fine line where it says exactly how to use it, that discovery process is gone. Right, I'm right there with you, Witty. I think one of the beautiful parts about Nioh is that, even for me, I can tell people some understanding of things, but there's always more to be discovered. And I think it's enough to say it's fun to be able to piece things together. It's fun to discover that. Knowing, for example, that an ability does key damage, a lot of key damage against enemies that are guarding, is enough for me to understand that I need to use it in those situations. I don't need to be like handheld about like, here's everything to do against a specific boss. But just understanding how to use my tools and then is really important. Certain yokai abilities being grab immune is such a game changer, but you just have to stumble into it. Yeah, that's nice to know. The mini video showing the skill is fine, but they could expand on that and transfer you to the dojo where you get a mini game where you learn how to use that skill. In the dojo, you get a boss selector to refight every boss again whenever you want. Yeah, that's what Rise of the Ronin does. I like that. It's also a two-way street. Ultimately, the person has to be willing to look into an experiment and learn to begin with. Right. Yeah, right. Like, if someone doesn't want to do that, there's nothing a developer really can do, no matter how much they try to entice it. So that's fine. I'm saying for a player like myself, I want to be able to do that, and I still personally have issues with it. That's going to be a problem. If someone wants to learn, it's like, hey, I'm here to learn, I want to experiment, and then they're met with like constantly like discouraging struggle, like it's gonna suck, and I don't want that for them. Players can also definitely be obtuse. Like, how many times have we seen a player skip a tutorial because they don't want to read, and then they get bodied because they didn't understand the mechanic? Right. And when the thing that I'm saying with that, Lucky, is when they make that choice, and I want them to be like, oh, it's because I didn't look into the tutorial that would have actually really helped me and would have been fun to me to learn. I want them to go that route rather than saying, nah, like, fuck that. Like, I want them to understand there's something they could have done that would have helped them. Basically change their relationship with the game. But I think in order for that to occur, good tutorials need to come into place. So that they can be like, oops. Like it was in my case with Rise of the Ronin, when I'd be like, oh yeah, this little tutorial thing, totally. Like, I spent so much time trying to understand this ability, I could have watched this little tooltip to see what it does and read what it does. Oh, my bad. Right? It like humbled me a little bit, but it didn't feel bad in a direct sense, so I'm okay with that. I was watched Lobos Jr.'s playthrough of Nioh 2 and was frustrating because he was digging the game, but refused to learn or use major mechanics and compared it to Sekiro the entire time. And that's of course frustrating, no doubt. But that was his choice. And if he's then going to complain about the game and then liken it to that way, then I'm going to be like, well, dude, that's on you. And my response to a lot of that was, hey, here's what 2,000 hours of Nioh 2 really looks like. People were like, this game, like I just showed, like, if people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to compare Nioh 3 to Elden Ring or Nioh 2 to Sekiro. And I'm going to be like, okay, you think it's that way? Here's how, instead of me trying to banter and debate with you how it's not, I'm just like, bruh, here's some counter evidence. Tell me that's like those games. Grand total of like no one would say it's like that. At that point, I'm like, yep, good luck. I'll just show you proof. You can doubt it all you want. While you are busy doubting the game, I'll be busy showing you how fucking amazing the game can be. So, yeah, that's fine. I don't even need to, like, debate it. I'm like, go ahead, you want to argue against proof? Good luck. Good luck. Team Ninja should pay you to include your tutorials in the game. You should get a 6-month early release to make the tutorials. Hey, I'd love that. Team Ninja, hit me up. A lot of times in fighting games, I'll say my brain knows it, but my hands don't. Right. I enjoy those moments because I'm excited to like actually master the skill in real time. So I want it to be so that conceptually I can understand everything with some time investment. But then I'm like, okay, I know how to do it, but I can't put it into practice. This is going to take me to practice this, and then I'll get good. That's what I would want. As opposed to, hey, I have no fucking clue how to even get there. And I'm trying to study all these dojo people, or people in the dojo, or other players. And, like, it's a struggle even for me to understand what they're doing and all of that. Like, I would want to reduce that. I would be more fine with that if the same people would extend the same courtesy to me and the stuff I enjoy. Yeah, that's the thing. Just want everyone to be courteous to one another. Okay. What about an accessory where it increases your damage, but periodically spawns gakis in the area? I'm gonna take a drink of water. Unrelated note. If no Azuna drop in Nioh 3, the game sucks. I'm sure they'll put it in. I'm sure Lucky, they're going to put in the Azuna drop just because you said that, alright? It'll be... If Azuna... Ladies and gentlemen, if Azuna drop is in the game, it is 100% because of Lucky impling. Alright? 100%. It is only possible reason. It has nothing to do with anything else. I've said it here. Unrelated note for dual swords, Cherry Blossom should be equipable on any stance. You know, it might be. It actually might be. They need a weapon focused on parrying? That's dual swords. One thing I'm actually concerned about at the moment, there won't be any new weapons, because they could say we have 2 classes and each of the 11 weapons plays differently in each class. I wouldn't hate the idea, but I could see the rationale because it's double the work for 11 weapons. That's why I'm hoping that it's... Here's my personal hope, alright? Here's my personal hope. So let me bring this up for Nioh 2, alright? When it comes to that. Because I've thought about this quite a bit, and I hope that pretty much Samurai gets all these weapons, right? Maybe one brand new one, exclusive to Samurai. And that what they do is they take some skills. If they want to have... Like, I'm actually okay with not having every weapon be ninja style. To be honest. I'm okay with that. But what I am hoping for is that, like, if they take things away, like, where is it? Like, they took Water Sword away, right? For the Samurai swords and put it on dual ninja swords. That if they're going to siphon things off and blow things up, that I still hope that in ninja style they have something unique. I want that unique identity to come into play. I do. And if everything is already available on Samurai style, like, I'm okay. But I do want some new weapons too. I don't want it to just be 11 weapons ninja style, 11 weapons samurai style. Like, I just don't. I would like there to be some unique differences, in all honesty. But the big feeling that I'm going for, even bigger than that, and this is something that Team Ninja will have to come up with, is basically how they're going to make it so that we get a direct upgrade from Nioh 3, or from Nioh 2. That's only something they can really do. And I do not envy the developers who have to think of finding that balance. Because if they're going to take things like Water Sword, you know, they took quite a bit from Kusarigama. They took, like, Deadly Mark. They took Whirlwind. Right? They took Reaper. Right? Reaper exists, and then they added Pollard. So they've added, like, quite a bit, and, like, Kusarigama might become, like, a ninja-only weapon, which, like, alright. There's no parries as far as I can tell in Ninja style. I mean, who knows? I don't know what they're gonna do. But we'll just have to see, in all honesty. But I understand this is one of the reasons why the player base is so concerned about Nioh 3 weapons. Can you really build check your way through things in New Game? Pretty much. Yeah. Not, you don't even have to go too crazy with it. Having read it on screen shameful? It's the interview. I think a problem is new players don't even know what high level gameplay can look like, how fast and aggressive you can actually play. Yeah, I agree. Which is, again, what my channel is trying to dispel. Which is like, no, like, this is pretty accessible. It'll take work, take some effort, but like, you can learn it. Join the club. Let's all focus on the super fun picture of basically style play. I'm all here for it. So for me, so Immortal Olive's making a point about key and key recovery. For me, when I was going from Nioh 1 to Nioh 2, I had that exact frustration. The exact same frustration. Because I was just like, I can't use my key. I think it, like, for me, and even to this day, like, the starting experience for Nioh, for me, is arguably the worst part of the journey. I have the most fun when I've unlocked a lot of stuff already. But like in Nioh 3, it's like, oh my gosh, unlock a stance. And I'm just like, dude, can I just get some starting skills? Starting points like in Rise of the Ronin? I was fine with how Rise of the Ronin did the progression. I unlocked some things at the beginning, give myself an edge. Which was fine. So like in Nioh 3, if I'm gonna pick starting weapons, make it fucking meaningful. Give me some extra skills, give me something to work with, something to play around with. Like, I hate having to unlock Flux and Flux 2, and it's like, I already know how to do it. Like, it should just be a fucking base mechanic. Not something I have to unlock. It's like, give me that. Like, I don't want to have to unlock basic game things. I do not like that. Especially when I don't feel there is any practical need for that. You know, it was one thing to like learn the Guardian Spirit stuff. I was fine with not getting right away. But like, they're pretty game changing. So I just hope that that gets reworked somewhat so that it's not like that frustrating part. Because what it starts to turn into for me in the beginning of the game is just like, hey, I just want to, I instinctively want to rush to be able to unlock more of the game so I can feel like, oh, finally, now I'm really enjoying myself. And that kind of goes against what Autumn was talking about much earlier in the chat about, like, Nioh is a game to be enjoyed slowly. Which it is. It's very much like a lovely slow burn that just gets more and more intense over time. And I love that. But man, I will say the intro experience fucking sucks. In Nioh 2, how many of you guys enjoyed, like, you know what was really fun? My favorite part about the intro experience was having to unlock Flux and then Flux 2. Oh, but by the way, that's locked until a dojo mission, right? Or I have to unlock key pulse on dodge, or I have to get all these buffs and shit. Or like, you know, like the way the skills are sorted is also irritating. So just like, come on, man, like this isn't systematic. So very frustrating. That's why the kind of accessibility should be optional. I agree. I think if people want to have that experience, they ought to have it. If they don't want to have it, they don't. And whatever choice they make, they deal with the effects of that. That's fine. In the same way, like in Rise of the Ronin, so I don't have it up, of course, but like you can, I went the strength blade sharpening origin to unlock some strength stuff, and I was like, great, I got some starting skills. Or if you want the extra challenge, you can be like, I want nothing. I want absolutely nothing. I want 0 advantage. Okay, simple choice. But it was up to the player. And I think in the same way with Nioh 3, one of the best parts about Nioh 3 is that players can ultimately decide how they want to play. So if someone's like, man, I want to have the immersive experience, fuck all the tutorials, I want them to have the option where they can set in the main menu, I don't want any tutorials. Never pop it up unless they specifically ask for it. Great. And then you are forced, like Autumn is talking about, to be like, you got to figure out the game. But if that's what you want, by all means have it. Let's say you're a newer player and you want to learn this stuff. Then it should be provided to you. Now, if someone, and I think we can all relate to this, if someone's going to be like, I don't want the tutorials, I want the game to be easy, I want to have the cheapest, I want to become super powerful, but I don't want to like inflate my ego, I think all of us are going to be like, dude, no, this game isn't for you then. I'm sorry to say. We're not going to sacrifice our game quality just to make you personally feel better about that shit. It's not coming out of our expense. We're here for you if you want to learn, and we'll make the game easier for you to learn. But like, there's going to be like some appreciation involved. I think we can agree to that. The thing about this 2K hour video is you can't even fully appreciate the skill if you haven't played the game. Right. And the purpose of that video is also to be quite a shock. People would be like, dude, I don't even know what the fuck I'm seeing, but it looks really good. And some people would be like, yo, if it's like, if you play the game at all, you'll start to see like, this is fucking insane. People should stop comparing games. Each should be played the way they are meant to be played. I would agree in the sense that I wish people were open-minded. I'm still of the opinion that the entry experience to the series is lacking. It was for Nioh 1, it was for Nioh 2, and I'm worried it will be the case for Nioh 3. And I would just want that entry experience. I'm not talking about shit later. Like, shit can stay as difficult as it wants. Or as obtuse or whatever. But that entry experience where I'm just trying to learn, like, and I'm brand new, and I'm like, alright, so I gotta learn key pulse, like stances, like all this shit, like, it's a lot to work with. Even though it's a skill in the game, there are many people who still don't understand the purpose of Flux. Like, okay, why should I use this when I could say use, oh, I want more key? Well, why don't I just like use, is it barrier? Yeah, I'll just use barrier instead. Or sacred water, that's what everyone's telling me to use. Right. It's not incentivized, it's not made clear. It's like, who cares? I just stay in one stance. I just stay in one stance, and that's dumb, so whatever. It's not clear. I wish it was. What does this gaki mean? Not talking about it. It's not a way of life. I wish base game experience is like, okay, and I'm just gonna say this. I still, to this day, think Flux 2 is one of the dumbest things of Nioh 2. Like, seriously, I'm sorry to say that, but I still think Flux 2 is just irritating as shit. It is superfluous. Why do I say that? Because I already think Flux is a great encouragement to switch stances and gain extra ki. But what real benefit am I going to have from switching to 2 different stances? Just like an extra fucking button press. I would never buy Flux 2 if it wasn't for the extra ki recovery. But like, I don't like, it doesn't incentivize me to play in a different way. It's just like, okay, make sure I throw in an extra button press. Screw that, dude. I like Flux, and I like Flash Attack. I think that's cool. I'm like, oh, cool. But this, if. Just my personal opinion. For me, the whole like unlocking stuff, like for example, it takes a while to get special finesse refresh, right? This is super good, but players have to wait to get it. It takes time to get it. And if you're brand new to the series, you're not going to be aware of shit like this. So I wish that was a little more seamless. Like, it's just so much obtuse information. Like, it's frustrating. Even for me. I think early game though, like, there's enough reasonable tools, you'll be okay. I'm like I'm fine with the entry experience, but it's not understanding how to evolve from that is the frustrating part. Right, like I don't expect new players or anyone who's coming into the series brand new into this is going to really have a pathway to understand what's possible. The only way that occurs usually is people see that, oh shit, here's something I've never seen as possible. I want to understand how. And oh my gosh, someone is actually showing me how to get to this place. Now I'm hooked into the game. But before that, and honestly, when I played Nioh 1, I didn't have a fucking clue. I played Nioh 1 doing a mid-stance flowing shadow build pretty much all the time. That was it. Just flowing shadow spam all the way through the abyss. That was all that I knew. It wasn't until I saw this other guy, Fear Dude, who showed me a very different way of playing that I was like, whoa, that looks really cool. Like I wasn't exposed to it before that. I wish the game showed that on its own. Like seriously, look at developer gameplay for Nioh 2, and then compare it to mine. No offense to Team Ninja, but I certainly wish they showcased more of the spirit of my gameplay and players like myself more in their footage. And they did that once really well with the fists. Fists looked hype. It was great. Want more of that. And hopefully we see more of that with Nioh 3. Darkvante, I'm doing well. Doing pretty well. Maybe unlock Flux 3. I think you have to think about players who didn't play Nioh 2. I think it's okay if the game is slower with the basic stuff like stances and basic unlocks. You are a Nioh veteran, you're not the average player. Right, I've heard that before too. Where it's like, because you do make a good point. That like, okay, if I am just front-loaded with stances and Flux 2 and a bunch of mechanics, you're right. If I didn't know anything, I'd be like, yo, how do I work with this, right? It can be kind of overwhelming. Too many mechanics at once is overwhelming. And I think that's one of the bigger challenges Team Ninja has when it comes to learning a lot of these things palatable. And one thing I did really like is that their dojo tutorials in Nioh 3, I thought they were good. It was like, all right, here's how to work with style shifts. Here's how to practice. There were like specific drills to practice. I was like, I actually liked it. I was like, hey, I want more stuff like this. This is really good. Or like, here's a block. Here's a dodge. Practice evading with the right time. Practice style shifting at the right time. I was like, this was good. I wanted that type of stuff so that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I know what I can do to deal with my sensation of feeling overwhelmed. And then it felt more meaningful. Kanji, there's a lot of tech already in Nioh 3. Right, so obviously in my dreams, when it comes to like, or I guess my best case scenarios, I would want the intro experience to somehow be both rewarding to absolutely brand new players and to veterans of the series alike. For me, I felt Rise of the Ronin did that well. I got to choose how I wanted to start the game, and they were tutorials helping me to learn the game very well. So that was nice. And if I chose then not to engage with the tutorials and I got my ass handed to me, I realized, oh, it's my fault. Now let me go learn what I need to learn. Very simple. I'm overall okay with the pacing of unlocking stuff in Rise of the Ronin. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. I will just always have the same argument that I do have for other games. Have you played Nioh before? Yes. Game throws you at a tough Yokai to prove it, and you can advance. Great. Yeah, I would love that choice. Is this your first time playing anything in the Nioh series? Yeah, okay, here you go. One path. Did you have fun the first time playing Nioh 1 or Nioh 2? Yeah, I did. I enjoyed Nioh 1 and Nioh 2, but I significantly enjoyed playing Nioh 2 over Nioh 1. That's why I have like no need to go back to Nioh 1. I'm sorry, I just got here. I don't know if it's been talked about, but I wish the skills told you specific stuff, like if the enemy is guarding, it does more key damage. Yeah, me too. This game doesn't really do that. Here, like, it'll say this does a large amount of key damage. But what's the point of Shadow Sword again? Why do I hit with the scabbard? Oh, key damage. Like, it's not very clear. Stuff like that. Yeah, I think for the stances, samurai stances, it'll ease newbies in. I'm okay. Like, I understand that. The Tower of London into Isle of Demons was one of the smartest subtle introductions to all the facets of the game. Don't remember. So, Hoover, do you think they should have added stance switching attacks to give more incentives to Flux? I think they kind of took care of that with Frost Moon. Stance switching attacks, I don't really think so. I think Frost Moon is more than enough. Flux 3, Flux 47. You still remember the Nioh 1 starting XP? You were trapped in the first mission. You don't have as many options as in Nioh 2. You have to fight yourself and be good, or you spam that hacks heavy. I do remember that. That was like the most Souls-like part of the entire series. But yeah, like for Flux, for example, like when you unlock the skill, it's like, hey, you want to see a tutorial for this or something? Here you go, how to use it, the purpose of it, stuff like that, how it can help you. Just some ideas, some creative things, and you can discover more things later. Like, that would have been nice. Make all tutorial optional, blah, 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 blah. Alright, I finally caught up to chat. Whew. What do you hope to see taken from Rise of the Ronin, if anything? I like their dojo a lot. I like being able to fight bosses the way that they did in that game. I love being able to unlock things the way that they did in that game too. I honestly hope they take a lot from Ronin. A lot of that. Rise of the Ronin had some incredible speed that I just did not expect for it. And seeing some of the combat moves in Ronin, I hope they get ported into this game. So for example, if you played Rise of the Ronin, you'll know the weapon move I'm talking about. But for dual swords, for example, alright, we got Sign of the Cross. Alright, just go take a look at Extended Gale. Look at Extended Gale, and then compare it to Ultimate Sign of the Cross. You know what? I'm not even going to consider that hidden message, because that's evil. Alright, let's go play. Yeah, Rise really did have some amazing combos. Holy shit, I haven't like played any Nioh today. Alright, let's see what my bosses are gonna be. Finally, some gameplay. Some, yes. Alright, so I was asked to play some weird things, right? It was like... forget. I don't remember. Gross. Bruh. I do not like Owl. I would love to know why. What makes you enjoy Owl so much? I strongly dislike this boss. He's just a solid boss that makes you approach him in a unique way with plenty of fun counters. Not for me, I guess. Maybe I just haven't experienced it like you have. What's going on? The owl looks kind of cute. Okay. You know what I wish for Nioh 3? That they gave early copies to streamers like you or the last load instead of fighting Cowboy or whatever other casuals will only do a disservice to the game. The truth is they'll probably do it to all. They'll probably give it to all of us. I don't see why they would restrict. Fighting Cowboy has a greater population of people that watch him compared to me. They're obviously going to give it to him. It's not even a contest. I don't remember if I got Nioh too early last time. I just don't remember. Sorry, I'm not... Fighting Cowboy being a casual? I wouldn't say he's casual. Sorry, just because someone may not have played as much as me doesn't mean that they're casual. He made a lot of content for this game. I'm not going to dock that. Yeah, I like Kusarigama Enjoyer is saying, focusing on myself, Last Alone, and those other players that he's mentioning is a small niche. The reality is we are a small niche. I think Team Ninja would like it if someone could showcase their game and is popular, but I'm not that. I'm not the person who fits both of those criteria. So of course I would be like, look, I get it. You need more people. Fighting Cowboy has more people. Pick Fighting Cowboy. That makes sense, right? He has more reach. Now, what Team Ninja also does is they just give early copies to other people. They will give, like, I think I got Wolong early or something. I don't remember. I got stuff early. Team Ninja does that. They gave me a game. They gave me like Samurai Warriors or Dynasty Warriors 5 or something like that for free. I didn't ask for it, but they did. But yeah, like, they'll do that. He's totally done that. They're gonna try to, like... Right, like, they're totally... They can do both. Tell Me Please is also satisfying, yeah. Do you think they'll add some new samurai weapons for the base game in Nioh 3? Or something for DLC? That might be for DLC, all things considered. I hope they would, but I would suspect it'd be a DLC things. So, Autumn, think about it this way, alright? Team Ninja's a big company. Their objective is to make sales. Fighting Cowboy may not be able to show gameplay in the same light as, say, myself. But I think it would be a bit unfair to say he doesn't show that the game is... I'm sure he would say the game's great. I mean, he was playing the Nioh 3 demo. He's invested. Now, Fighting Cowboy has a massive audience. His job, that's part of his job to, like, do YouTube stuff. That's his thing. This, all things considered, is a hobby. You know what my actual job is? I help people with their marriages. I help people reconcile. I help people with their self-esteem. That's where I make my money. I charge a good amount of money. I charge, like... Dude, this makes, like... I can make my YouTube earnings in a month, even on a good month, in, like, a day. If I'm full with clients. Alright? My services are so valuable, and I'm totally bragging about this. My services are so valuable that people internationally will... I had one guy legit be like, hey, I'll pay you $100 an hour. I was like... I didn't want to charge him that much. But I was like... I really appreciate that, but like... We'll do... I actually told him I'll take less. But like $100 an hour for my time, dude. You think Fighting Cowboy gets that kind of money? I don't think so. $100 an hour. So, like... Anyway. No offense to him. I hope he makes $100 an hour. By the way, Fighting Cowboy, if you're watching this, I want you to make $100 an hour for what you do. Alright? I'm just saying that, like, that's his job. He is going to be very invested in doing well, and so he's grown his channel significantly. He's made a career out of it. He already has a presence, at least in the United States. He's not like an unhealthy streamer by any means, nothing crazy major. He's a pretty safe bet. If I was Team Ninja, I'd go for him over me any day. If I had to choose who I'm going to have represent my game to a large public, I'm going to go with an already established figure. It's a safe bet. Whereas someone like me who doesn't have that same sense of security is frankly a risk. Now, what Team Ninja could do as well, which is what they already do, is they will give the game out to people like myself to play. So they do that. And then, you know, if we really want to be seen, then we just have to make ourselves more popular. What does reach bring if the guy only talks about bad things about your product? Did he do that? Did he do that for Nioh 3? I heard that about Rise of the Ronin. But did he do that for Nioh? I'm sure I'll get a review copy. What's my build? It's just like a key consumption thing. Fighting Cowboy, regardless of niche things. Here, you can, this, let's see. That's a, here, you can like take a look in the meantime. Yeah, he's a fan of Nioh, as far as I understand. He's done a good service to it. I'm not going to complain about it. Am I a marriage counselor? More of a coach. I don't have a license to be like a LMFT or anything like that. So having a guy with a massive audience critiquing the game for a bunch of people to not give it a try. I mean, if he did that for Nioh 3, that's a bad idea. I charge $150 an hour when I shot weddings. Oh, that's a fuck ton of work. That's a shit ton of work. I don't think he's shit talking Nioh. No. I know for Ronin, look, for obviously, like, I heard about the stuff with Rise of the Ronin. I heard about that. I heard about that for Rise of the Ronin, which, from what I understood, was very unfair. So, okay, since we're considering that, and I forgot about that, truth be told, yes, it would be more of a risk then to go for Nioh 3. So, if I was Team Ninja, I would look for, if I was really concerned about that coverage and not being representative, then I would pick another big streamer who is really interested in Nioh. That's what I would do. I'd be like, well, okay, he didn't give our game a fair shot. Let's go find someone else bigger. Someone else is bigger and does enjoy the series. I'm sure there are going to be other people. That's what I would do. Now, obviously, like, I would love to have... Right? Obviously, I would love to have that. But they, of course, as a company, are going to have different considerations. I accept that. So be it. But guess what? I'm most likely going to get a review copy. I'm sure Zelod will get a review copy. Nioh may not ever get super, super mainstream huge, but the niche is super loyal, yes. That is a very good thing to have. People who like Nioh really, really like Nioh. Alright. I'm sure Master will give Nioh 3 some love too. That is if he isn't overworked. That guy works his ass off. Hello? That was awkward. That was so awkward. That threw me off. Aw, thanks for the compliment. Just wanted to say you're my favorite Nioh creator. Any news about it, just go to you straight up. Hey, thanks. I reached Dream of the Wise in a few days, but I wish I could play like you. I just can't incorporate all the cancels, abilities, soul cores like that. That takes a lot of time and practice. And my advice would be not to try to learn all at once. Just try to learn one thing at a time. Just one thing. It's okay, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. Don't feel bad if you don't remember it all. Yeah, there's Switchblade Odachi play. How much will you charge if Gaki couples want your service? Are you serious? Get out. Let's see if I have a... Oh, I do have a lucky drop Magatsui's Grace. Right here. Do you have... Are you on PC? I have to go, but I do have one. You're on PC? Yeah, this is mine. What do I think? Yeah, because I gotta get going for lunch, so if you pop in another time, I can give it to you. What do you think I should start with? No, I unfortunately have to go because I got lunch coming up. I'm pretty hungry, dude. But just like message me on Reddit or something if you're on there or something. What do you think I should start with? Maybe incorporating Brute Slap into the combos? Yeah, I think that's a good start. Just pick one. Pick one thing. Magatsui is the corruption. So here, so here's what I would recommend. All right, for the just one thing to practice. So I'll just show it with sword. All right. Yeah, dude, I just spent so much time talking. The one thing I'd recommend practicing, and just do this in the dojo, is when you do a flash attack, right? Flash attack, pretty standard. On a flash attack, you can usually dodge. Or if you want a seamless combo, then after a flash attack, do a burst counter, a brute counter. So here, I'll show you the difference. So that's what it would be normally. It's very simple. You can always use stuff like that. And then what you can start messing around with, I think you'll be able to grasp that pretty straightforward, all right? After the brute counter, use a yokai ability immediately. So you can use all sorts of them. Yep, you can do all sorts of cool stuff like that. You can start getting creative. You can do stuff like, whee! Like, that looks super cool, doesn't it? Nightmare Bringer into Severing Spin. I would just focus on that. Now, one thing to note, when you're doing the brute counter, you can't switch no matter how much you try to do. And you can only do the brute stuff. Yep, so there you go. Giving people an easier outlet to try stuff would go pretty far. Yeah, I do agree. I do. I really do want Team Ninja to make that learning process a little smoother. That would probably be like the best thing for new players, in my opinion, because otherwise it's a little stressful. Just as simple as having a big pose for damage testing and being able to tell the guy to always guard. Yeah, stuff like that, so they can like learn properly. But yeah, alright. Time for me to get going. Thank you guys so much for watching, for being here, of course. I know there wasn't much gameplay today, but we got to have a good chat about stuff. And just as a reminder, all the things to the interview, and I didn't like cover it all in depth by any means. If you want to take a look at that, look in the links I put in the description to the Reddit thread with everything translated. And the raw interview itself was posted there if you haven't seen it. So I'm gonna go have lunch, and I will see everybody later. Take care, and bye.